overlay. Oh, we're live. Holy shit. What's good, party people? This is According to Woods. And I mean, literally, things are falling apart here. But one thing that isn't falling apart is the person that I have here. He's a combat sports athlete, he's an LFA veteran, he's the one and only Justin Patterson. Justin, what's good, my man?
Man, just chilling, yo. Just trying to stay ahead of everything in this crazy world, man.
Yeah, man. It's a crazy, crazy time in every, and it's not like, oh, it's just a US thing or it's just in my state. It's like the whole world got insane. Just
Like, what is
everywhere.
happening? Like, the whole world is losing its mind right now. Like, wow, it's crazy.
It is, but the cool thing about this is like, hopefully, you kind of get closer to your community and,
Yeah,
spreading positive light into whatever atmosphere you might be in. And the cool thing
facts.
about it is, I mean, especially as a notable combat sports athlete, that's something that you've been able to do. After your fights, you get to see the people that have bought tickets from you, rep your shirts and all that jazz, sign autographs and everything like that.
That's
I
pretty
mean,
dope.
that's gotta be cool, right?
It's super surreal because, like, I'm not one of those people that take myself very seriously. So, and to me, I'm just appreciative that they came and that they want to see me fight and that they want to get to know me, because that's what it's kind of like when you come to see me fight. It's like you wanting to get to know me. Like, you want to come see what I do. You want to come see like how I do this shit. And so it's exciting. It's always, that's one of the most fun parts, is like interacting with the fans afterwards and just kicking it with everybody, soaking up all the good vibes. It's indescribable, seriously.
No, for sure. But again, and this is why when most people that are outside of our community and like, oh, they're just like grunts and whatever. I'm like, I mean, I used to train at a place called the Fight Academy in Pasadena, California. We had literal scientists and engineers and
Yeah.
everything that work at JPL and NASA and all that jazz. And they were struggling with me trying to figure out a 1-2 punch combo or a way out of an armbar. So it's
Yeah.
something that's universal, right?
It really is. You know, the amount of brain power it takes to actually compete is something I feel like people overlook. Like, it's not, you're not just gonna get in there and you're gonna do awesome. No, it doesn't really work like that. Like, there's a lot of thought processing going in to learn how to utilize your body effectively and how to manipulate someone else's body effectively. It's a hard thing for a lot of people to get, especially like scientists and stuff. They get too much into the science and not enough into the art.
Yeah, that's one thing
It's
that
a
you
crazy
can't
trade-off.
teach. Yeah, that's one thing you can teach is heart, and you can have all the technique and you yourself. And I love your fight name because I mean, there's been like the Taz Mexican Devil. I mean, if your name is Ray Borg, it should be Cyborg. I'm sorry, but I mean the tactician. I love that so much because I mean, you could use that in MMA, you could use that in jiu-jitsu. The tactician. It almost reminds me of Dean Malenko back in WCW, the Iceman,
Yeah.
doing like that. You know?
No, it's I actually got that name when I was still in the Navy. They used to call me the tactician in combat systems room because I ran most of the scenarios. I ran most of the I was running my division while I was in there. So it was my job to come up with battle plans and things like that for moving around the ships and things like that. So I kind of developed that nickname and that persona while I was in. So I just carried it over when I started competing.
I think it fits. I think it is pretty apropos because I mean, anybody that's seen your fight, I mean, close to 20 fights in your established career. You fought everywhere, LFA, Bellator, like it's just RMMA, like you've been all over the place, right? And what I want to know is like, obviously, first and foremost, thank you for your military service. It's amazing, my man. But I mean, did your military service give way to your MMA career, or were there simultaneous? Like what? How did that all come about?
I came up boxing. I boxed from about middle school through the military, and then I got fat. Then I got like really fat, 265 at my biggest. And after I got out of the military, I was dealing with a lot of PTSD issues, and um, I wasn't. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Like the thing that people don't talk about in the military, when you're in, your day is planned for you. From the time you wake up until the time you lay down, you know what you're supposed to do. You know where you're supposed to be. You know who you are. You know what you're doing in life. When I got out with nothing. It was just me and my wife. And then I moved back to Texas, and the job I had fell through, so I had to move back in with my mom. So I just drank. I just drank and felt sorry for myself for a while. And one day I walked into an MMA gym, and the owner saw me come in, and I was like, how much is membership? And he told me, I was like, I'm a little short on cash. If I can pay you throughout the month, that would be great, but I can't pay it up front. And he was like, fine, just clean up, fix gear. I was like, fine, I just need something to do. I, explain my situation. And he let me train. He let me train. I worked the events because this was the gym in Arlington. They XKO, one of the local shows. They used to run it at the gym that I started at. So I would just work the shows and set up the cage and set up the locker rooms and stuff. And that's how I paid my gym fees for a while. And after about a year, my first coach got a hold of me, and he asked me if I wanted to fight. I was like, I thought about it. Maybe, I know I'm still a little heavy because I was about 230 at the time, about 230. And he's like, well, we'll get you to 205 because I got you a fight for next month. Like, oh shit.
Shit.
All right. So, I sucked it up. I was like, if you feel like I can beat him, let's go get him. And I ended up knocking him out in the first minute. And after that, it was like, I love this. The preparation, I felt for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had a purpose. Like I felt like I could be great at something. It's weird to not have that feeling of being able to achieve something. I've always been good at things, but it was a strange feeling. Like I feel like I can really do this. Like this is real. Like this feels real to me. And so after that, I was just hooked. I went down to 85 for a fight, and then I went back to 205 to fight Eric Anders for my last amateur fight. And after I took the title from him, my coach was like, "We got to go pro. We have to go. Like you were supposed to suffer. You were supposed to struggle with that fight. You come up there, you wash him. Like let's go." So went pro. First 7 fights were great. Fight number 8 was rough. Man.
I think
Bellator shook me up.
but I mean, it's all good, right? I mean, you literally taken a negative, into a positive, and you were doing quarantine weight before it was cool, like years before it was cool. So you're an innovator. You're an innovator for sure. Right?
You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Jesse Velasquez is chiming in, and shout out to Jesse, who's a international fight showdown champion out here in California. And he says 2020 sucks, but you got to find the good in the bad. Absolutely. And
That's
he's
so
calling
real.
you the people's champ. Absolutely. Yeah. And straight fire. So, bam. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's been a crazy ride. Obviously, as the world is kind of changing, right? And you are in a physical state of almost despair, right? And
Yeah.
uh, what do you attribute to getting out of it? Because I know, yes, entering the MMA gym, but there was a small moment before you entered the gym where you're like, I got to make a change, right? So did you have like an epiphany or a watershed moment?
Well, it was more so like having that time to sit there and really think about, okay, let me define who I am. And then I couldn't think of, okay, what makes me special? Why am I here? What am I doing? Like what's going on? And initially when I got out, I went back to music. I was a singer growing up and play piano. through high school and through my first year of college before I went off to the military. And I got in a lot of trouble, got kicked out of school, got kicked out of college. So that's what landed me in the Navy. So after I got in, or after I got out, I went back to music and I did not love it anymore. Like, it was work. It was real work. And I made it through about 2 semesters. And finally, I was getting ready for my third jury, aka concert. You have to audition to stay in the program. I don't know if anyone told you that. So I was getting ready for my audition. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to be in this damn program anymore. So I just walked out. And I was like, you know what? I used to box. Let me find a place to at least get into shape, man. I'm tired of being fat. I was having to hold my breath to tie my shoes. Like I was big. I was big. I'm only 5'10" and I was a size 42.
What?
Yeah. So it was just that being tired and not being able to touch my toes or hell, see my belt loop. You know, I wanted to do something to get back into shape, but it turned into something else. It really did. It just I ran into my training partner Victor Reyna, and I can't remember a time he wasn't directly beside me through my entire training. So it's been amazing.
No, for sure. And I mean, my goodness, it, I mean, you boxed, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
even were you training to fight at all, or was there
I
any
was
aspect to that?
29-7 as an amateur coming up, combined through the military. But I never had any thoughts of going pro. It was never a career thought. It was just like, hey, I like kicking the shit out of people. You know, it was all about music. So somewhere that flipped. Somewhere it was like, hey, music is cool, but this fighting thing's awesome. Kind of made that transition, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else, man. Straight up.
No, and I think it suits you well, and I mean, just like your nickname, your fight name, kind of encompasses. I mean, you're a tactician, right? So somebody that had that military experience and figuring things out, figuring out the complexities of your body and the techniques of the day, and in not just striking. Oh, then you
Gotta get your
grapple.
grappling in, and the
Yeah.
part that people don't take into account is like fighter personality, how they bend to pressure, or how they tend to chase if you back off, and things like that. Like those are the parts that people overlook. So if I know a guy has a tendency to back down when you get in his face, I don't care how I normally fight. I'm gonna get in his face the whole fight. If I have a guy that likes to chase or likes to overextend, and I'm gonna fight off my back foot and make him overextend, catch him with the counter. So it's just I really like to have that freedom in my style to be able to do what needs to be done to get the win. Like, I don't want to be limited to, okay, you have to fight like this every single time. So that's one of the reasons why I chose the name the tactician. The tactician should be versatile. You should be able to do whatever.
I'm not saying this because that I have you here, but I mean that is probably my favorite fight nickname ever.
So
That is, and that's kind of what because I mean I was a fat kid, and to many respects I kind of still am, right? And but one thing that I used to do, and I kind of saw you kind of hype up, and I want to talk to you about it, but I'm a kid that was born in '85, so by the time I hit high school, like the Monday Night Wars and everything like that, and I saw a small kind of portly guy named Dean Malenko who put on Texas Cloverleafs, which I know right? And I was just like, I mean, I went around Inglewood High School here in Cali doing all this and whatever, walking like Dean Malenko. It gave me self confidence in ways that I don't think anything else at that point could have done. So were you influenced by any of that?
no, mostly my biggest influence coming in was actually Yves Edwards. Yves Edwards was somebody that I looked up to like tremendously. I love the way he fought. I loved his personality. And then randomly I got to meet him and felt like a complete moron because I don't fanboy over too many people, but I fanboyed pretty hard. But he mentored me for a while. I traveled around with him for a little bit down to Houston to train with him at Team Tuck, and Austin to the aka TX, and then I went out to Cali with them for a little bit too to get ready for Chance. So he cornered me for the Chance fight.
Yeah.
And, he cornered me for Vegas as well. He cornered me in Vegas as well, and that was just that to me was the epitome of I can't believe this. This I this is my mentor, the guy that I literally wanted to fight like is sitting here leading me through this. I could not believe that. Like I appreciate my coach, I love my coach, but it was like, yo, this guy is here right now. He's really here. So that was one of the coolest moments to me, headlining in Vegas and getting cornered by one of the greatest fighters to me of all time.
Oh, to me too, 100%. Like there's no question, you know. And it's funny, you know, talk about nicknames, right? You mentioned Chance Rencounter. I know it's you know the native in him that has his nickname as the Black Eagle,
The fact
but I
is,
think me and Colin Crandall of the MMA Power Hour, we kind of joke, especially when he made his UFC debut, that his name should be Chance Encounter Recounter, you know, and come out with like an alien gimmick. And I don't know, man. I mean, if Dave Rickles could come out like the caveman in Bellator, why the hell not, right?
hey, I feel like it works. I feel like it works.
Which I
The
can't
Black
wait
Eagle
to
threw
see.
me off because like when I heard I didn't see him yet, and I saw him, I was like, huh, that wasn't what I was expecting. I was like, wow, he's tall. Cool. That was the
Yeah.
first thing. Damn, he's
Well,
tall.
again, and no disrespect to Ray Borg, a phenomenal guy.
He's
I mean,
good.
what's going on with his you know son? More power to him. But I'm telling you that his Taz Mexican Devil moniker
I love
is
it.
probably the Alan Belcher Johnny Cash tattoo of MMA nicknames. I'm sorry. I'm
Yo,
sorry. I
yo,
had to. I had to.
done, done.
Oh my goodness.
I
So
did.
some breaking news coming here because it was just announced prior to us coming on that Brock Lesnar is free from his WWE deal, and it looks like Brock Lesnar versus Fedor in Bellator. Oh my goodness!
I don't know how that's gonna
Oh,
go. I really don't know how that's gonna go. Who lands first? I
I
feel like
say,
whoever lands first got it. I don't know.
I say that happens either Japan or a native casino here. You
Oh,
TRT everybody up, and you might as well, yeah, you might as well go ahead and throw Miracle Pro Cop. I mean, while we're at it, right? Hong Man Choi, Bob Sapp. Let's throw them
I
in
feel
there.
like, hey, let's go find Ricardo Arona. Let's go. Let's go. Let's bring them all back. Let's just bring them all back. Let's bring back all the pride. If they're gonna do it, let's bring back all the pride. We throw down. We got this. If it's Fedor and Brock, who else can we bring into the picture? If that's where we're headed, why
I'm
not?
just saying. Like, I mean, Bob, I think Rogan talks about it enough. 320 pounds, 6'8" with abs. Like,
Just
what are we
like,
doing?
why are you so big? Why are you such a big dude? Like, what else would he be doing in life? Like,
Nothing.
what is your career? What is your career choice when you're that big? Anesthetic, anesthetic. Like, what do you do outside of sports? Like, could you
I
imagine
don't.
walking into
I
an
mean,
office building and
he
that's your
wasn't the long. He wasn't the longest yard, right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
so there's that,
Like,
and
it's
then
pretty much either movies or sports. Like, you're like I
yeah,
couldn't see him working at a call center. Like, could you see him working at a call center, trying to sit there and take calls
no,
all day? Just
no, absolutely not. That cubicle, hell, I would. This needs to be a show. We need to see Bob Sapp, the
just
host of Tiny House Hunters. That needs to happen. You know what?
him trying
Slide
to get
into
through
the
the front
DMs.
door is enough for me,
Any producers? I mean, I know Hollywood or whatever, but reality shows. You could have me,
bro.
the tactician,
Bro,
and we're gonna go around with Bob Sapp, you
I'm
know,
with it.
and, and make
Any
him
excuse to
hype him
hang
up.
around with Bob Sapp. Any excuse to hang around with Bob Sapp all day.
Bro, I mean, come on, let's do it. You and I could be the kimchi to his Kamala, and I'm just
I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it. Let's do it.
let's do this. Yeah, and Jesse Velasquez, in terms of your fighting acumen, you got to adjust to who you're fighting based on the reactions and the fight styles. Nice, great minds think alike.
Fact.
Absolutely, but
Like
I mean,
I think we get too into techniques sometimes, and techniques are great, but not everybody reacts the same. When it comes down to it, you're still talking about reaction time. You're still talking about emotional responses, and that's the time that I choose to take my moves. I want to see how he reacts, how he feels about it. Because if I can draw an emotional reaction, I won already. If I can make him react in any way, if I can make him doubt, if I can make him angry, if I can make him pee a little, I win. Just a little, just a little.
just a
Fight
little bit.
yesterday, I'm willing to miss a punch just so he wonders what it felt like. Like we're used to getting getting hit's great. I know after I take it, I'm okay. I'm still conscious. I'm fine. But when it's close, you wonder. You always wonder. Like, damn, no, I felt the wind on that. Oh, man, that might have been bad. It starts to make you hesitate. So I like to play on those things. I like to try to draw reactions out of my opponents so that I can get a clear view of who they are. As soon as I know who they are, then I got it. I don't doubt myself against anyone. If I know who you are as a fighter, I can beat.
No, and that's it. And again, I this is why I love your nickname, because I mean, again, it's a true technician of the sport, to kind of figure that out, and either one way, basically assert your dominance in either striking or grappling on your opponent, or even finding a way to kind of be the general in the ring, right?
Yeah, you
And
give them a
whatever
rope
you
to hang
throw,
themselves. You want them to think it's their idea. I want them to think they're controlling things for a second until they realize, what the hell, I'm getting pieced up. Like, yes, you are. Now you
yeah.
realized it. Now you're screwed. It's too late. So it's playing those two things. And that's what I love, and it's the reason why I can't hang up my gloves anytime soon, man. I love this shit too much. I get goosebumps just talking about it, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's what was it? A Sting, right? Sting, Steve Borden, right? He said, every time that he was walking, no matter WCW, whatever, anytime that he walked to the ring, he got goosebumps, and that made him feel right. And
Yeah.
once you stop having those goosebumps, then it's time to hang it up. But if those
Once it
goosebumps, I
doesn't
mean, just
feel real
talking about
anymore.
it,
It's like, because that's the perfect statement. It feels real. Like, it was my first fight. It felt so real. It was like, yo, that just happened. Like, what is that? Was what my first fight was like a minute. I think it was a minute and 10 seconds, and it was still. I was exhausted. I was exhausted at that. I put like my entire camp into that punch, but it was just that feeling of, wow, that was the. It wasn't the realest moment of my life, but it was so real without being like shot at. So it was awesome.
damn, yeah. But I mean, okay, so after that, take us through the mind of a fighter, because obviously you train for anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes even a 1 week notice and what have
Yeah.
you. And then, a short victory comes like that. What is the feeling? I mean, is it a culmination of like all of the crazy stuff, kind of having, cutting weight rage and all that stuff? Is it worth it at that moment?
Man, it is every time. Like, that moment is so indescribable. That one where they fall, your hand is raised. It is just, there's no drug in this world that can give you that feeling. There's no such thing as a drug that can give you that feeling. It is absolutely insane. And this actually explains why so many former athletes and so many former artists turn to drugs afterwards, because it is it is something you start to miss. I mean, imagine living your life as a Titan and all of a sudden having it taken away. You know, you're not anymore. And they start going other places to look for it. That's where it gets dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we kind of saw it in the respects of like Robbie Lawler. I mean, last week's UFC was a bit of a changing of the guard, so to speak, because Robbie Lawler had I mean, I almost said passed away, but his career it wasn't what it once was, right? Same thing with
Yeah,
Anthony Smith. We're talking about a former light heavyweight title contender, and you kind of wonder like when is it time, but that you know
the hardest thing in the world to say, because you see a lot of guys, they look like they're done and they take some time off and they come back and they kill them. I mean, Yoel Romero is a perfect example of somebody coming back into the sport way later, a completely different monster than he was the first time he came around. And I feel like guys like Neil Magny, he's not going to hang it up anytime. He'll get bored, I think, before his body gives out on him. That guy is such an incredible athlete. It's crazy. Like, how do you even have a gas tank like that?
yeah, yeah. And then I mean, then you got like the Dan Severns of the world who
Yeah,
just recently retired like last year,
yeah.
and he didn't even find the sport until 38.
It's insane, man. It's insane. And then on the other end of that, you have guys like Chris Holdsworth, who, his body gave out on him, and he wasn't able to continue to fight at 23, I think it was. So it's always a gamble, and you're grateful for every competition. You plan to fight, but you're grateful for every fight because every fight has the potential to be your last. And that's why I never half-ass in a fight. I go in with the fight thinking, if this is my last fight, what would I want it to look like? How would I feel about myself looking back at this fight? Did I give everything I had? Did I leave it all in there? Or did I catch up at the first chance I got to run away? So I treat every fight as if it's my last one because I'm 35. I'll be 35 in December. It's not, it's a young man sport in some people's eyes. I feel like it ain't. I feel like these kids are just asking to get their ass kicked. But with it. They're strong, they're fast, but they make a lot of stupid mistakes, and I'm all for it.
No, 100%. And it's funny too because it's kind of a paradox, right? Because if you're young, they're like you just need a little bit more seasoning and all that jazz and whatever, right? And then when you finally get to a point of, I wouldn't say
We'll say veteran.
expertise, yeah, and then everything starts breaking down, and it's just like
Yeah,
it's a limbo.
it's pretty crazy because it's like I'm still in good shape, but I can honestly say, knowing what I know now, 8 years ago, unstoppable. Like absolutely unstoppable. Like I don't have the explosiveness I used to, so I have to be more clever at times than strong. But if I still had that same amount of force behind every movement, it would be absolutely unstoppable with the knowledge I have now. I still feel like I run through most. I feel like I can hang with pretty much anyone out there though. Like I really, there's not a lot of fighters out there that I'm stressed about. Like I'm past that point. I'm past that point. I know what I'm capable of. It's all about just being ready, being sharp when I get in there.
And I think that's great because part of the game is your mental acumen, right? How strong you are mentally,
Yes.
unwilling to break, right? So it's kind of cool because at this point you've acquired almost the absolute necessary skill to foster your career going forward, and not just your career, your life. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you survive a 2 hour, 6 minute increment of hell jujitsu session, and then somebody cuts you off, and you're like, okay, I don't care because I
You're
went
like,
through
thanks.
hell. You right?
You're like, I'm gonna go take a nap. Like, just go, go. I don't got time for it. Please go. Uh, yeah, no. By the time you get home, um, you're too tired to worry about anything else. You're I don't have anything to be stressed about by the time I get home. You know, I left all of that stress on the mats. I left all that stress on the bags. I left it on the mitts. I left it on my partner's face. You know, I left all of that stress somewhere else. So I don't want to carry it home with me anymore. I don't want to drive angry, you know? So it makes life fun. Because when you get out, you don't have to prove that you're tough. And you don't really care if anyone else is tough. As long as you're not trying to hurt me or hurt my family, then we can be friends.
No, 100%, 100%. Which, and I want to get into, because you did talk about, fighting every fight like it's your last, right? How would you like to play it out? So, I mean, you're close to 20 fights, right? And then even more so in terms of your boxing, right? So, uh, are there any memorable ones to you where you're like, man, I'm a fan of this fight?
Yeah. The first one that sticks out in my mind is, of course, that first chance for encounter fight. Mainly because he beat the hell out of me the first round of that fight. I was like, yo, by the time I got looked at my coach, I was like, help me. Like, what am I doing wrong? I can't reach him. So to come back and win that fight dominantly felt good. Um, Ramiz Brahimai was a fun fight. That was a really fun fight. And I feel like my first real fight, Eric Anders, will always be a huge memorable one for me too. Just because he was so big. He's a big dude. I was like, they lied to me. They lied to me in New Orleans. They were like, oh, he's only about 6'1". He walks around at about 210. I was like, oh, man, he's not that big. And then we get to weigh-ins, and I was like, yo, I'm not that short. That dude ain't 6'1". And he can't walk around at 210. I was really glad to pull that one out, but that was a really memorable fight because I wasn't nervous. I was pretty much scared leading up to it. Like after weigh-ins, my coach had to talk me down because I was like, why are we here? Whose idea was this? What are we doing here? This guy is huge. He's like, oh, we're fine. We got it. We got it. You know, his boxing ain't yours. His boxing ain't yours. His wrestling ain't yours. I was like, okay, but if he gets a hold of me, I'm gonna die, right? No. He's not. You're fine. You're fine. All right. But after we exchanged a couple of times, well, we didn't exchange. I didn't let him hit me. I can honestly say he did not land one clean punch that whole fight because I was like, nah. If he lands a clean one, I'm going out. Like, there's no chance. There's no in between. So I touched him up. He'd overcommit, get him to the cage wall, lateral drop. His hips were not strong at that time. They are pretty strong now. But I'd lateral drop him. We get down there. He'd force his way up. I'd crack him, get right back on my bicycle. And I fought him off my back foot of it. But I broke his nose in the second round, and he didn't even acknowledge it. He just kept coming. They reset it in the corner, and after the fight, they reset it, and he just – that was a good shot. I hit you with 1,000 of those. You know, that was a good shot. He was just walking through my punches for the most part. It was interesting.
I would say so. My goodness, that's a literal David and Goliath, like biblical proportions fight, and it almost reminds me of probably the greatest fight that I've ever seen live was Richard Leroy versus Jalen Turner at CXF 8 here in SoCal, and this is before Jalen, ended up in the UFC and whatever. But I mean, Jalen Turner, so Richard Leroy, Anglo gentleman, about my height, about 5'8", 5'9". Jalen Turner's like 6'2", just almost like mini John Jones or whatever. And it's on Fight TV if you want to check it out, but it's still that is literally what I measure like the great fights. Along people are, oh, this is a great fight, that's a great fight of all time, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, that is almost like my what's it, Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner.
Okay, all right. That was a war, man. That was a war.
Yeah. So obviously, there's a lot of things that have inspired you to fight, and just in your life, right? And I know, especially now in this kind of day and age, things are kind of bleak, right? But what are things that have you use to motivate you? You know, whether it's like after a hard sparring session or during a hard sparring session, books that you're reading, movies that you're watching, because there's a lot of people that are hurting right now that could use a canary in the coal mine.
I'm honestly, man, like everyone else, we've been struggling with it. A lot of it is just clinging to the wife and us just trying to keep each other positive. That's the biggest thing. Just trying to keep each other positive because with all of this, with jobs and uh, overall, the inability to move around and do what you want, that's a huge thing because we're not used to being restricted, especially here. We're not used to being restricted at all. And we've been restricted completely for the most part moving around. So I made it a point to run every day. I play a lot of video games. So my wife's not too much of a fan of that, but so, she's okay with it now. We've been married 12 years now, so she's cool with it now. But honestly, it's just been keeping my mind occupied, finding hobbies, and just understanding that this isn't forever. Like this isn't forever. Eventually, sometime it's going to end.
Yeah, and that's it can seem like the world is kind of closing in on you, right? But figuring out a way. That's one thing that I try to do was even doing this very podcast. Not only you know keeping in touch with my friends, but also getting in touch with new people such as yourself and figuring out one way how we can just check in on each other. We are a small part of a larger community. Let's figure out like how we can make our community better, even if we are at home for the perceivable future. You know?
Like I know a lot of I was doing Zoom classes with a couple of my students for a while. My kids, I have a few students in the Bahamas that I work with on occasion. A couple of training partners out there that I work with on occasion. So just sending them videos and them sending me videos. And same thing in Mexico City. I got a couple of affiliate gyms down there. Send down videos and just trying to working on things like setting up my seminar. I got 2 seminars I'm working on right now in Mexico City, and I'm working on one for the Bahamas as soon as they reopen travel as well. So it's focusing on those things consistently, just pushing towards something, kind of keep direction, keep something out front that keeps you from sitting too stagnant and falling into that pit. And that pit is a terrible place, and that depression is very real, very, very real.
It is. It's literally real in the field, right?
Man, I wish that on no one. I've been there a few times, and I'm blessed to have come out on the other side of it. But it really, it's a strange thing to see no way out. It's a very strange thing to see no way out, and you start to think really dark stuff when you don't see a way out. So my heart always goes out. I always leave my phone line open. My friends know they can call me at any point, anytime. And it's not even for advice, just talk, I'll listen. Sometimes advice is too much. And sometimes you just need an ear. You don't need nobody to solve your problems, you just need somebody to listen. Try to be that guy.
No, 100%. And we all need to hear this because we've been, like I've had the instance of, some of my friends, they catch it and been fine, and they're in varied stages of health. Some have run triathletes, and some are like diabetic, and they've survived. Then I've had some people in the same kind of you know margins and fields and everything like that, and they caught it and they passed away. And it's
crazy.
Yeah.
It's, like I think 3 of my friends came up with it, and all 3 of them were just kind of like, yeah, man, I was just really bored. I was really bored for a while because I was quarantined, but I was fine. And then one of my coworkers caught it, and I think she had the flu-like symptoms for 2 or 3 days, and then she was good. So I don't know. It's
yeah.
point, I'm like, it doesn't sound too bad. But then at the other, you hear about other people and they're on, ICU for 3 months trying to figure
Yeah.
out what the hell's going on. But I do believe that pre-existing conditions are a huge factor in some of the deaths and things like that because I don't know. It's weird.
It is absolutely weird. And it's just like, and you kind of see, different states are responding in different ways. You hear, different countries they're already back up. So like
Yeah,
we don't really know. But again, the one thing that we can do is just like figure out like, okay, can I just check up on my friend? I don't know, I haven't heard from them in a while, and see how they're doing. Just kind of check in. I think it's beneficial to all of us at large to kind of do that, right?
for sure, for sure. Like I love WhatsApp. WhatsApp is like the world's greatest communication app. That's how I keep in touch with all my friends out of country and other states because you can send videos and voice messages. It's just easy. It's better than texting to me. Like I'd rather just send them a voice message or send them a video message or something real quick to say what's up. It's just more personal to me.
I agree, which probably means that Justin Patterson is going to be setting up a cameo. So might as well, good sir.
With it.
the Everett Osmer says huge fan and a huge fan of Everett Osmer, who kind of set this very podcast in motion. So thank you, Everett, and I hope all is well in Alabama because the University of Alabama, they had like thousands of cases across 3 campuses. So just making sure that you're good out there in Alabama, Everett.
Man, thanks for checking in, Everett, man. I appreciate you for letting me know about this too, man. Oh yeah, and I'll send your shirt off tomorrow.
Oh, so there you go, Everett. There it is. And then he's actually Christopher Reed says this guy's an amazing fighter / man, on and off the mat. So that's from Christopher Reed. Shout out
Thank
to
you.
Chris. Thank you for watching, good sir. And I mean, in regards to our kind of Fedor Brock scenario, Alejandro Ramirez says, I see it happening in either Japan or Russia. Steroids. Yes. Yes.
I was like, yep. That's why I was like, yo, Benito.
If they need some, I mean, we're kind of out of work, so if they need some administrators to kind of poke them out, we can do it. Send us
We
over.
got it. I was like, yo, I don't feel like that fight should happen any other way. Like, I don't want to see 2 old fat guys in the cage. I want to see 2 juiced up monsters beat each other up. That's what I am there for. I am there for that. That is what I'm paying for.
And that's going to be worth the price of admission, folks. I guarantee you.
Yes, if it's in Japan or Russia, I am buying. I want to see 2 juiced up guys beat each other down. 2 juiced up legends beat each other down.
Yeah. And again, like I said, like we were saying, shouldn't just stop. We should have like everybody was talking about, with like Ken Shamrock or whatever, there needs to be a legend submission and whatever. It's like, yeah, send Shamrock over there. Send Krokop. Send them all. Send them all.
Why not?
Fremont Island.
I feel like that's pretty much what a lot of the older guys are doing that are tired of cutting weight and stuff. They're going over to bare knuckle. It's too many rounds, and they're just slugging it out because they're paying pretty good. So I was like, no, I'm good. I don't think I need any more cuts, man. I'm good on that one, man. That bare knuckle's a real thing. Like, that's a real sport. Props to any.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Yeah, I was talking a couple weeks ago to Christine Ferreira, who's a champion, and I've been a fan of hers since like Invicta and what have you, and she is uniquely suited for that. Yeah, just perfect
for it. We were teammates on the same management team for a long time. Like we talked back and forth quite a bit early on in my career. She's a great person, but she is built for bare knuckle. She is built for it. Between her, I think like Beck Rawlings, like she's built for like they just have that grit real nasty. I just want to fight mentality, and you need that. You need that to go in there and slug it out bare knuckle with somebody. Like it ain't about technique in there. It's about like fighting. You in a fight.
Yeah, and I mean, one of my good friends who, and it's crazy to even say that, but I mean, um, Chris Lehman, right? He's having a whole
Yeah,
huge resurgence, you know.
like it's crazy, man. It's really giving an opportunity for people to just kind of pop back up on the scene. Like, all right.
Yeah, you know, and Lehman specifically, you know, I'll kind of speak to because a lot of people are like, "Oh, why is he doing this or whatever?" But I mean, here's a literal legend of the sport, and he might not be in the UFC Hall of Fame, but he should be. He very
You
well
should
should be.
agree.
But this is somebody who's given his entire, you know, life, to his adult life, to the, you know, combat sports community. I mean, he was even refing. He's a ref out here for amateur fights here in California, right?
That's
So
dope.
this is somebody that has given and given and given, right? And now that he's kicked all of his bad habits, he's married with a kid, whatever. Why
Oh,
not? Why
that's dope.
not?
Why not? If you feel like it, if you feel healthy for it, go scrap. You know, like everybody feels like they should be able to tell you when to retire. Like, yo, if you feel up to it, I mean, Mike Tyson's coming back. Yo, Brett Jones is coming back. Anyway, it's an exhibition fight. Doesn't matter. It's real to them. It's real to them. Like that's who it matters to. They want the fight. You know, that's what makes the difference. The fight is the only
Exactly.
thing to me that belongs to the fighter. Everything else belongs to the fan, but the fight is mine.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. You know, and it's crazy, but I mean, but I guess to the same you know, respect. I mean, I was there at the weigh-ins for Tito Chuck 3. Tito looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
Chuck, on the other hand, and all respect to
Feel
Chuck.
like you've been sitting on the couch a little bit, you know. You've been chilling.
Oh,
You've been eating burgers and stuff, you know, it happens.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was rough to see, but I mean, it was cool because I got to. It was weird because I got to tell Tito about a moment where I was in high school, and it was like a Limp Bizkit concert, right, at the Forum in Inglewood, and you know they announced him, you know, from the crowd, and it was like a fart in church. Nobody responded, right, and then here we are, me as the interviewer, him as the fighter. We're fighting in the exact same arena, and it's just like, you know, kind of full circle.
That's dope. That's so
Yeah,
dope.
and and we were
One of
actually
those small
standing
moments.
where my the stage was for the graduation, so it just kind of, yeah, it was nuts, super
That's
nuts.
super dope.
Now Everett wants to know, and I think this is a great question, but if you had to pick a dream fight with anyone, who would it be?
Dream fight. Oh man, that's hard. If I could pick a dream fight, I'd have to say, man. Oh, there's so many. Nah, I
Go
would honestly
for
have
it.
to say Kamaru right
Tell
now.
us, brother.
Kamaru has shown that he has a phenomenal fight IQ, and that's what I want to fight. I want to fight somebody who is in there with real intent and real understanding. Because I want to see how I measure up against somebody I believe is truly great, and I actually believe Kamaru is a truly great champion. That's a dream fight for me.
So I mean, with that, with Usman versus Patterson, that's the dream one. And we could go. You could have multiple answers. I'm good with
Man,
this.
we got multiple. So I would have to say, of course, I would love to go back and have a crazy fight with Anderson Silva. That would be amazing. That'd be amazing. Put some weight on, go up to 85, and like see if I can solve the puzzle. You know, because that's what it really is. Can you solve the puzzle? Um, Uriah Hall is somebody that I feel like would be a real fun fight. That'd be a real fight. Um, Raymond Daniels. You see, I go after all the strikers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Raymond Daniels would be an absolute fun. MVP, of course, on that list as well. Like I just have a thing. I really want to see how I go against that caliber of a striker because to me, in my eyes, they are truly great strikers. So I really want to see how that plays out. Does my kickboxing stand up against theirs? Does my MMA skill stand up against theirs?
I
And there's
like
some
it. I mean, you're talking Anderson Silva, you're talking about Kamaru Usman, talking about Raymond Daniels. I mean, I mean, if you're opening it up to, like strikers, elite strikers, why not Ramon Deckers? Like
yeah.
that's
We
or the
talk about.
Rufus
I feel
brothers.
like
Like
if I'm going into Dutch kickboxers, like you got to go to Mr. Perfect. You got to go to Ernesto Hoos, man. That would be absolutely insane.
yes,
I mean, I might not be able to walk for 6 years after the fight, but I mean, it's worth it.
makes for a cool story, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I first off, this is Ernesto Hoos. Like, I'm never watching this leg again. That black spot right there, that bruise where he shattered my femur, that was Ernesto Hoos. It's cool.
Yeah. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And
Yeah. Like,
now,
bro,
everyone also wants to know because this is a two-parter. Any chance about you coming back to Bellator? And I'll even open it up. But are there obviously right now in this quarantine situation? I know for the very least here in SoCal, everybody that was pretty much waiting on their ascension to Bellator or UFC and even LFA, right? They're getting that call. So, are there any places that would like to fight before it's all said and done?
um, straight up, right now, I would love to go overseas to Rising and One FCs just because I have this. I've always wanted to fight in Japan. That's always been like an absolute dream of mine. More specifically, Sadama Super Arena is someplace that I've always wanted to have my hand raised at. I just that to me is the epitome. That's my ultimate goal.
I like it. I like it. I mean, we might even get Leon Hart to do the ring announcing and everything
Yes,
like that. Which
yes. That's all I wanted. That announcement is all I'm there for.
yes, dude. When Bellator did Japan, right, and they did Saitama, right, and I was just like, you know, they could have done something kind of special, right? Like
Yeah.
Michael C. Williams, I love you. You are the voice of Bellator, but come on, bring in Leanne for one night, just one night
Just
only.
one. Just one. It's worth it. It's worth paying for one night just to hear that voice echo throughout the arena. Like it's so legendary. It's so legendary. Like, Jin Yu Fry, one of my former teammates, and to hear her name go over at Sadama Super Arena. We stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the morning to watch that fight, by the way. It was awesome. We put an all nighter to watch that fight. No, it was I think she fought at like 4 a.m. But
Yeah,
anyways, we stayed up literally just for that announcement. I was like, no, I don't want to catch it in the morning. I want to watch this live. Like I want to watch
live.
right, get that announcement, the fight in front of 20,000 people, and it was so surreal to live through that. I got to get it for myself. I got to get it for myself.
I love that, and I mean that too. That experience, it's like, whoa, that's my teammate. I've trained with her, so in a roundabout way, I made it to Saitama.
Yeah, like it's like I have a little bit of access. I'm sorry, I got to plug my phone in, so I'm walking and
No,
talking,
you're good.
but it's surreal to watch them do that because you do have that attachment to it, right? Like you're like, damn, that's my friend. That's somebody that I spend a ton of time with that is living my dream right now. And so it was cool, but at the same time, it's kind of like, man, I want to do that too.
Like,
I'm a
like
big
where's my
kid now.
call?
It was
Like,
like, huh?
like where's my call?
Right,
I
right.
don't hear my
Like,
phone ringing.
hi, still here. Can I come too? Like, you got somebody for me to fight, please? So, hilariously, when I fought for Combate Americas, for my for the fight in Vegas, the first person I talked to after that was Chatri, and he basically was like, "No,
Uh,
why?" And they wanted me to get some more fights before I came in, but I ended up getting picked up by Bellator instead anyway. So But it was like, damn, he was like, nah, okay, my bad. I'm sorry
Uh,
I asked. Like, but
the-
you do what you can after that. It's whatever. It wasn't my time yet. It's not.
no, yeah. And the thing about it is, at the very least, it would have played out in your mind if you had never asked, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Like it's so much better for me to go ahead and take that no than to not ask. Like I'd rather you say no. I'd rather you tell me to my face that you don't want me. Like I don't want to guess. I don't want to think about it. Just tell me.
I like that attitude. I really do. Which I mean, I gotta ask because obviously, I mean, you're a veteran in this game, right? But
Yeah, big time.
there's been so many people that have been, in a big a part of your career, right? So let's
Yeah.
get some shout outs out of the way.
Man, big shout out to everybody over at Genesis Jiu Jitsu for giving me a home when I didn't have one. I was in between gyms and they just took me in and showed a lot of love. God's Fitness as well. Love y'all. Stretch Zone, that's where I work. Love y'all. All my coaches, Jabbar, Moan, Eric Lincoln, Eric Sands, all those guys, love you guys, man. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for having me on. Like I haven't really been active recently, so it's awesome. Thanks for showing love. Thanks for reaching out, man. And of
Dude,
course, my wife
always.
putting up with my ass.
No, man, always. And hopefully this is the first of many. I actually, to be honest with you, I'm surprised nobody's hit you up even more. Like as a, like because you're that dynamic dude.
Like I guess since I say I play a lot of video games, so most of the time I'm just at the house, so I get overlooked a lot.
Just saying, dude. I mean, I'll if you want to do something, I'll shoot you the message and kind of make something happen because I'm the big proponent. It's almost like the Dark Rogan, right? Where like
Yeah,
everybody should have a podcast, right? Everybody should have a podcast and look at the people that he's helped, Joey Diaz and the fighter and the kid
yeah,
and all that, whatever. He's become like almost the Oprah of the podcasting world, right? So
yeah.
I'm like,
Seriously,
yeah, like everybody should start a podcast. And yes, there's 10 million of them, but guess what? If it's in you to do, there needs to be 20 million of them. Can't stop, won't stop.
I always look at it like this: if there's one person watching my stream, then I'm doing all right. Because I stream a lot on Twitch, by the way. The Tactician JP on Twitch. If you're ever on, come watch me on Monster Hunter and Paladins. And I'm terrible at Warzone, but every now and then I get on. But I'm horrible at it, so be gentle. I like the
Well, you're
nerdy
talking
games.
to a dude who, I mean, is still playing NBA 2K14, and I
Hey,
actually think that WWE 2K20 is a decent enough game. Like I've out glitched the glitches, which is probably not something I should be proud of.
nah, that's I play Monster Hunter, and part of doing speed runs is learning how to glitch the monsters out, how to play the pauses, as they say. Making them stun, wobbling the monster, making them stay off balance and stuff like that. So no, when you really start to get into it, that's really what it is. Like you gotta play the glitches. It does
And
mean you
like,
play too much though.
and you're a fighter, you know this. A win's a win.
A win is a win. It doesn't matter. The win's a win, man. Just because I know the rules better than you doesn't mean nothing, man.
Now, Jay, I know you shouted out your Twitch, but let's get all the social media out there because I don't know why more people aren't following you. I have, and I warmly encourage everyone else to do so. But where can they find you on all of your social media platforms?
I keep it real simple on Twitch. I'm sorry, on Twitter and on IG is JP Tactician, all one word. And then on Facebook is the Justin the Tactician Patterson. And even on Snapchat is JP Tactician. So I try to keep it. JP Tactician is pretty much my use your name for everything.
I like it. I like it. And with a name like the Tactician, I mean, anything to quote Hulk Hogan in a right guard commercial, anything less would be incendiary.
Fact, fact.
Well, dude, thank you for taking the time to talk to us here at According to Woods, man. It's been an honor and pleasure. And anytime you want back on, dude, let's do this because
For
I think
real.
we could go a little bit longer for sure.
For sure. There's a lot. There's so much we could be talking about, man. I appreciate it, man. Seriously, I had a blast. Definitely one of the more fun interviews I've done by far. Like, by
Well,
far.
I appreciate that because you've done quite a few in your career, so that means the world to me, my man. But this has been According to Woods with the Tactician, Justin Patterson, and we are out. Thank you guys for watching. Oh yeah, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe According to Woods. Because why wouldn't you?